you're minorities, black people, and you know that we know that you'll get us fired, make us lose our job, home, everything, anything that you can. And if you're not like down in the hood and you haven't like really lived in the trenches, you're basically just tolerated as a co-worker, as a necessity to survive. Um, and now, if you don't know that these politicians, even the celebrities, all these people that's on TV, they cannot be without us, the people, the streets, the people in the streets. The majority, the majority is now the minority. The minority is now the majority. If you can wrap your mind around it. Now, without the minority that has come the majority, if we don't vote, there's no politicians, there's no presidents, there's no nothing. So it's like stop running around like little stupid ants. You know, the queen bee, Mr. Trump, he doesn't have the capacity to fulfill his Oval Office oath, all these fucking oaths. So, what is we gonna do? So back to it, right? So without us voting and agreeing to the things that they implement, they cannot be. There's no way for them to be. And that's just the bottom line. Now, all these ridiculous things, all these ridiculous taxes, but we're still in debt, but they get a piece of our check. That shit pisses me the fuck off. I'm working so hard, like I feel like I'm back on the cotton field as a slave in UPS. And FICA gets a piece of every fucking drip of my sweat. That shit is fucked up. And we pay for these rude ass, murdering ass police officers that run around like they're better than us, but we pay their fucking paycheck. That's the dumbest shit ever. And yo, it's time to stop being fucking clowns. And like I said before, it goes back to fucking Christmas. Because if you still fucking celebrate Christmas, you are a fucking idiot. And you should just go in your house and put a blanket on your head. Get out of the but it's like, yo, it's over for you. It's fucking reindeer. Just the if you believe in Santa Claus, you gotta believe in everything the fuck else. Werewolves, fucking fairies, pygmies, every fucking thing else. How do you just leave this flying white fat motherfucker? How is he the only motherfucking stupid shit that is believed in? It's ridiculous.
The thing about this country is this. We're all Americans. People love to say that. That's the first thing people want to say when there's some tension. Oh, we're all Americans. You're American, I'm American. What just happened? We're all Americans. Can't we just be all Americans? Yeah, we are. We all Americans. But we live in two different Americas. That's what it is. People forget that. And I don't think everybody that doesn't understand what we go through is necessarily racist or bigoted. It's a far jump. It's a lot of folks that just straight up don't know what it's like. You got to educate them. You got to educate them on the kind of America you live in. I'd go to Best Buy and give a dude some straightening. Straighten his ass out. Yeah. I'm straightening. Dude at Best Buy gonna decide I don't need a bag with my purchase. You just have an iPhone case. I figure you could just pop that open. No, I ain't popping shit. You put it in the bag. I need that in the bag. What do you need a bag for? I understand what you need a bag. It's wasteful, recycle. Don't you care about the earth? Oh, sir, this has nothing to do with the earth. I'm a black man in America. I gotta gotta leave this store with a bag, bruh. It's about safety. I'm black. I don't get the luxury of just walking out with shit in my hand. That is a roll of the dice. That is a horrifying day. If I don't know, not only do I need that bag, bitch, I need that receipt.
Now the pancake boxes. Oh, buddy. Ooh. Okay. Referring to them changing Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's black asses off the boxes. I mean, she's right. It does trigger shit when you're trying to cook your breakfast. It's like a subconscious reminder. That's why I said about white people being tolerated with all the things you have to do before you even get out the door to see their stupid faces. And they always try to act like, we should be so grateful that whatever they do, if they talk to you or if they befriend you or, anything, you're to be so grateful. Oh, man. It's a hard road to travel. So when you change the pancake boxes, it's like when your baby learns to walk and the baby stands and falls right back down. Oh, good job. Keep trying. You'll get it. Mama has faith in you. Now the pancake boxes. Oh, buddy. Ooh. That's like such baby steps. Like referring to them changing Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's black asses off the boxes. I mean, she's right. It does trigger shit when you're trying to cook your breakfast. It's like a subconscious reminder. That's why I said about white people being tolerated with all the things you have to do before you even get out the door to see their stupid faces. And they always try to act like, we should be so grateful that whatever they do, if they talk to you or if they befriend you or, anything, you're to be
Brother Edward Black was initiated November 10th, 36. He passed and then was raised.
And we'll see here, somebody had already been initiated, passed, and raised.
Where it was presented, the date, so this would have been just about a year ago.
When you're doing the ceremony, you're asked, what do you seek? Light. And then the second degree, it's what do you seek? More light. And then the third degree, what do you seek? Further light. and they rise up through the degrees. And the hidden secret, which is revealed at the 33rd degree, is that the light you've been seeking all of this time is the light of the light bearer, Lucifer. See, they use this term, light, light, great light, all the way through, and the hidden secret, which is not revealed until the 33rd degree, is what the light really is.
We finally find out what the great light is, and it's supposed to be a worshiping Satan the entire time.
Oh, look at this. From darkness to light. Check that out. Look. We have alchemy. Eastern Star. Baphomet.
And we get page 33. The Holy Bible starts on page 33. Could that be a coincidence? The Holy Bible starts on the 33rd page of the Masonic Bible.
And they say that the source of this symbol it's an important symbol borrowed from the Freemasons from the nations of antiquity, or rather iniquity is what the Bible would call it. Among the Egyptians, Osiris, their chief deity, was symbolized by an open eye. Really now. So that's what we should use for the God of the Bible, huh? Sounds like bell worship, guys. The eyes of Jehovah are in every place, beholding and watching the evil and the good. It is the symbol of omnipresent deity. He who introduced
Yeah, amazing Bible. Totally demonic.
So I got on eBay and got myself a Masonic King James Bible.
There's the Freemason insignia on the front.
But what really shocked me the first time I picked this up, sun god, Ra, Amen.
But they do feature Egyptian gods and goddesses, which is kind of interesting because being Catholic, or Roman Catholic in my case, we're not taught that these gods exist. They clearly have them shown here. So
Now just go to the pictures in the back. The Egyptian gods and goddesses. More Egyptian gods and goddesses.
Babylonian crap mixed in here.
I thought this was interesting. The soul revisiting the body.
Anya was rich enough to have a really awesome Book of the Dead, I guess.
There's an obelisk. Wow, that was Osiris's penis. That's worship for phallic worship, yeah.
Be able to share it with anyone who watches the video.
And then you flip to the back, and there's all this Egyptian, Babylonian account of the building of the walls and temples of Babylon.
Wondrous.
Of the Eastern Star, Baphomet there.
Photo of George Washington's sash worn in the Revolutionary War at the time he resigned his commission in 1783. Oh boy. The building of Solomon's Temple. Oh look, this is George Washington's Masonic apron. Oh, look at that, George Washington. Okay. Oop, Thomas Jefferson. James Madison, check it out. James Monroe. Andrew Jackson.
Here you have Masonic presidents of our country. Masonic presidents. I'll zoom in here so you can read a little bit better. George Washington, Mason, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, Andrew Jackson, James Knox Polk, James Buchanan, Andrew Johnson, James Garfield, William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Warren Gamaliel Harding, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Harry S. Truman, Gerald Ford, the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man. There you have George Washington with a nice all-seeing eye radiating down over the White House. Nice imagery there. The white apron there is made of lamb's wool, and it symbolizes the veil that veils the Holy of Holies from the God of Masonry, which is right directly behind the veil. Excuse me there, I have to point there. That's the God of Masonry. You see the square, you see the compass, you know, this thing here, right there, the G in the middle, does not stand for God. It does not stand for geometry. It stands for generativity.
See, Shaker, wherever I seem to go, I had to pick up here at the Waffle House. It's always somebody from the Freemason where I am. This nigga was sitting in the car until I went to McDonald's to get me a coffee. So, you know, just because you think and niggas want to play games with me and play with my fucking emotion like I'm some type of fucking idiot.
Truly I say to you, no generation of the people among you will know me. That's pretty strange if you've ever read the canonical Gospels. Apparently, this Jesus thinks that not even his own disciples know who he truly is. Also, what's up with him saying "your God" to his disciples as if they're worshiping something other than him or his heavenly Father? When his disciples heard this, they started to get angry and furious and started to curse him in their hearts. But when Jesus noticed their ignorance, he said to them, "Why are you letting your anger trouble you? Has your God within you and his stars become angry with your souls? If any of you is strong enough among humans to bring out the perfect humanity, stand up and face me." All of them said, "We're strong enough," but their spirits weren't brave enough to stand before him, except Judas Iscariot. He was able to stand before him, but he couldn't look him in the eye, so he looked away. Judas said to him, "I know who you are and where you've come from. You've come from the immortal realm of Barbelo, and I'm not worthy to utter the name of the one who sent you." I told you this got really weird. It's apparent the narrative here is totally different from anything in the canonical Gospels. First of all, the disciples are painted very negatively. They might not even be worshiping Jesus at all, but some other god. Judas is apparently the only one of them who actually knows who Jesus is and who sent him to earth. Secondly, with that realm of Barbelo comment, I think it's safe to say that this gospel's understanding of the structure of the cosmos is pretty different from that of the canonical gospels. We'll pick the story back up days later in the narrative. Because there's a lot of extra details here and a few places where the text was damaged enough to lose a few words, I'm going to editorialize just a bit for clarity. Another day, Jesus came up to them. They said to him, "Master, we've seen you in a dream because we had great dreams last night." And they said, "We saw a great house with a great altar in it, and 12 people, we'd say they were priests, and a name. And a crowd of people was waiting at the altar until the priests finished receiving the offerings. We kept waiting too." Jesus said, "What were they like?" And they said, "Some fast for 2 weeks, others sacrifice their own children, others their wives, praising and humbling themselves among each other. Others sleep with men, others murder, yet others commit many sins and do criminal things. And the people standing before the altar invoke your name, and in all their sacrificing, they fill the altar with their offerings." When they said this, they fell silent because they were troubled. Jesus said to them, "You are the ones receiving the offerings on the altar you've seen. That's the God you serve, and you're the 12 people you've seen. And the animals you saw brought in to be sacrificed are the crowd you lead astray. It's been said to the human generations, 'Look, God has accepted your sacrifice from the hands of priests.' That is the minister of error. but the Lord who commands is the Lord over everything. On the last day, they will be found guilty. Alright, that's a pretty graphic image. Jesus says that the disciples will lead people astray in his name and will be unknowingly serving a different God, one that delights in degeneracy and violence. It sounds like Jesus is even... Disciples are stoning me and chasing me rapidly, and I also came to the place where I had followed you. I saw a house in this place, and my eyes couldn't measure its size. Great people surrounded it, and that house had a roof of greenery. In the middle of the house was a crowd. Master, take me in with these people. Jesus answered and said, Your star has led you astray, Judas, and that no person of mortal birth is worthy to enter the house you've seen, because that place is reserved for those who are holy. Just for time's sake, because there exists a great and boundless realm whose horizons no angelic generation has seen, in which a great invisible spirit which no angelic eye has ever seen, no heart has ever comprehended, and it's never been called by any name. So there's a realm that not even angels have seen, where there's a great spirit which mankind doesn't even know about. That's not the Christian God. Is the Great Spirit greater than the Christian God? If we keep reading, we find the surprising answer to that question. I'll summarize because this section is long and pretty confusing. The Great Spirit creates several great angels who create angels and powerful beings of their own. Eventually, after dozens of powerful beings come into existence, something totally shocking happens. And look, from the cloud there appeared an angel whose face flashed with fire and whose likeness was defiled by blood. His name was Nebro, which means rebel. Others called him Yaldabaoth. And another angel, Saklos, came from the cloud too. So Nebro created 6 angels, and Saklos did 2, to be assistants. They brought out 12 angels in the heavens, with each of them receiving a portion in the heavens. Then Saklos said to his angels, Let's create a human being after the likeness and the image. And they fashioned Adam and his wife Eve. Yeah, Saklos, this being that's definitely not the most powerful distance, something totally shocking happens. And look, from the cloud there appeared an angel whose face flashed with fire and whose likeness was defiled by blood. His name was Nebro, which means rebel. Others called him Yaldabaoth. And another angel, Saklos, came from the cloud too. So Nebro created 6 angels, and Saklos did 2, to be assistants. They brought out 12 angels in the heavens, with each of them receiving a portion in the heavens. Then Saklos said to his angels, Let's create a human being after the likeness and the image. And they fashioned Adam and his wife Eve. Yeah, Saklos, this being that's definitely not the most powerful being in the cosmos, is the creator of mankind and the God of Christians and Jews. He also came from the same cloud as a being called a rebel, and his name, Saklos, scholars actually say means fool. Suddenly, everything just makes sense. Jesus laughs at the disciples at the beginning because they're worshiping the foolish god Saklos. He says they're going to lead people astray in his name because the disciples think Jesus is the son of their God, but he's not. He's from the realm of Barbalo, a place far beyond the realm of Saklos. The god of the world He also came from the same cloud as a being called a rebel, and his name, Saklos, scholars actually say means fool. Suddenly, everything just makes sense. Jesus laughs at the disciples at the beginning because they're worshiping the foolish god Saklos. He says they're going to lead people astray in his name because the disciples think Jesus is the son of their God, but he's not. He's from the realm of Barbalo, a place far beyond the realm of Saklos. The god of the world is Jesus' enemy. Saklos delights in debauchery and violence, which is why he commands foolish god Saklos. He says they're going to lead people astray in his name because the disciples think Jesus is the son of their God, but he's not. He's from the realm of Barbalo, a place far beyond the realm of Saklos. The god of the world is Jesus' enemy. Saklos delights in debauchery and violence, which is why he commands bloody sacrifices. Honestly, from a non-Christian's perspective, I have to say that this makes all the evil and suffering in the world make a lot more sense. God allows suffering, he commands holy wars, and he demands sacrifices because he's just a heartless fool who enjoys violence. Jesus has nothing to do with this God in this text and is on earth in opposition of him. Finally, we come to the end of the story where Judas' so-called betrayal of Jesus takes on a different meaning. Then Judas said to Jesus, "What will those do who've been baptized in your name?" Jesus said, "Truly I say to you, this baptism which they've received in my name will destroy the whole generation of the earthly Adam. Tomorrow they'll torture the one who bears me. Truly I say to you, no hand of a mortal human will fall upon me. Truly I say to you, Judas, those who offer sacrifices to Saklos blank everything that's evil, but you'll do more than all of them because you will sacrifice the human who bears me." Immediately there was a disturbance among the Jews. Their high priest grumbled because he'd gone into the guest room to pray, but some scribes were there watching closely so they could arrest him during his prayer because they were afraid of the people since they all regarded him as a prophet. And they approached Judas and said to him, "What are you doing here? Aren't you Jesus' disciple?" Then he answered them as they wished. Then Judas received some money and handed him over to them. So Judas appears to betray. Look, from the cloud there appeared an angel whose face flashed with fire and whose likeness was defiled by blood. His name was Nebro, which means rebel. Others called him Yaldabaoth. And another angel, Saklos, came from the cloud too. So Nebro created 6 angels, and Saklos did too, to be assistants. They brought out 12 angels in the heavens, with each of them receiving a portion in the heavens. This is the dividing of Saklos and Nebro's portion of the heavens into 12 realms over which they rule. So does that mean the 13th generation or realm where Judas will be sent is the realm of Saklos and Nebro? The realm of the foolish, terrible God and his double, the devilish, rebellious God of flame and blood? If it is Judas in for the worst damnation of all the disciples, or is he to ascend to godhood himself? Does the secret knowledge which Judas now possesses allow
The deities, thousands of them, have ruled and protected the Egyptians since the beginning, for more than 1,000 years. They represent all aspects of life. They keep the Egyptians safe. Like humans, gods can rise and fall in importance. Amun was the god of the capital Thebes. 200 years earlier, pharaohs fought and won battles in his name, and built an empire. With Egypt's success, Amun's stock rises fast, the source of the nation's strength. Eventually, Amun merges with the sun god Ra, the sole ruler of the gods, to form the supreme god Amun-Ra. His temple becomes the wealthiest in the land.
Akhenaten certainly threatened because he's going against the king of the gods of all things, a mysterious god who can attack him in ways he doesn't have any idea about.
To preserve his power, Akhenaten shatters 15 centuries of tradition. Generations of Egyptians have built temples to worship their gods, and those gods have been generous. With the gift of the Nile, the Egyptians created paradise on earth, and they know it. Everyone is fed, everyone is protected, everyone knows his place. And once you've created paradise, you don't tamper with it.
The Egyptians lived in the best possible society, in the best possible organization, and anyone who tried to change it was changing it for the worse. And they avoided that. People who advocated change were considered to be rebels, almost, revolutionaries. And that was a bad word for the Egyptians.
Akhenaten's radical break with religious tradition doesn't happen overnight. It festered quietly for 30 years, under the reign of his father. In Thebes, Egypt's political capital, stood Karnak, a magnificent temple complex built to honor the god Amun-Ra. For centuries, This was the center of Egypt's religious tradition. But slowly, the focus started to shift to the west, to the other side of the Nile, where the sun sets and elaborate funerary temples rose. The biggest temple of them all belonged to Akhenaten's father, Amenhotep III. Gifts of meat, grain, wine, beer, and more flood into the temples to win the gods' goodwill.
These offerings, of course, would then be redistributed to the priests, to their families, to the people who worked on the farms owned by the temples, to the people who worked in the workshops or led trading expeditions on behalf of the temples. It was an army of people who had to be supported. The temples were, in a very real sense, one of the most important economic elements in the entire bureaucracy of Egypt.
By the time of Pharaoh Amenhotep, the priests of Amun-Ra controlled much of the economy. By employing a large percentage of the Egyptian people, the priests take credit for maintaining the empire's crucial balance, keeping Egypt a paradise on earth. They represent the stability through a feathered goddess called Ma'at. The priests dedicate their lives to rituals designed to maintain this order and to please the gods who guarantee prosperity. The people are taught that if they neglect their deities, the gods can die and chaos will rule their country. For over 1,000 years, no one had ever dared to challenge the system. The Egyptians made daily offerings to the gods, which are collected by the priests. The greatest offerings come after a successful military campaign. When an enemy sues for peace, he must pay tribute. The pharaoh makes sure that the priests collect their share of the spoils to thank Amun-Ra for victory and to help guarantee the continuation of Ma'at. Pharaoh, and he ramps up his father's conflict with the priests. He orders the temples of Amun-Ra closed and the god banned. His supporters storm the sacred sites and confiscate the toppled god's treasures. Amun-Ra is struck from history, his name obliterated from the temple walls. Egypt has only one god now, Aten, the sun disk, the supreme and final ruler. No pharaoh had ever dared to attack the cherished pantheon of Egyptian gods. Nothing will remain now but the sun disk and his children, Akhenaten and Nefertiti.
With the removal of the gods, their mythology went too. There was no more mythology. He didn't have a myth about the sun disk at all. And so we're told that the sun disk created the world. We're not told how. All the old creation stories, the mythology is gone.
For the priests of Amun-Ra, it spells disaster. They stand to lose power, money, and authority. Secretly, they try to save some statues of their god, hoping to stay in his favor. They fear the end of the world. Look upon us, Amun-Ra. You were here when there was nothing, and you will be here for eternity. Banish our fear. Their prayers go unanswered. Akhenaten closes the temples and sentences the priests to hard labor. Now, offerings flow to the new god and to Akhenaten.
Immediately, the tax revenue, as he calls it, that poured in to the granaries of the sun disk was enormous. And all other temples were very quickly pushed into economic hardship. Their doors closed, they couldn't sustain themselves, and they lay idle.
Orderliness that we call Ma'at, that the ancient Egyptians called Ma'at. You see it in Egyptian temples, where on the outer walls of the temple you have battle scenes, with Pharaoh going after the enemies of Egypt and, of course, always winning the battle. You go inside the temple and you find peace and tranquility. You're in the home of a god, and the scenes are very different. You have moved from the symbols of disorder and chaos to the symbols of order, peace, tranquility, Ma'at.
Entering a traditional Egyptian temple, the priests transition from light to dark as they approach the Holy of Holies. It's where the gods live, hidden from the eyes of the people. But Amenhotep reimagines the temple. He wants to let the light shine in. He identifies himself with Aten, the sun disk, another form of the sun god. He even has himself addressed as Shining Sun Disk. What goes on in a boy's mind when he sees his father turn himself into a god? For Akhenaten, the message is clear. The sun disk now rises above all other gods. The sun is the source of all life. It feeds the people of the empire. It makes the cattle thrive and the harvests abundant.
We're all witnesses.
Intimidate me with a camcorder? Don't you watch the news?
You've crossed the line.